Welcome to Layn Turo University. My name is Conrad Layn. I have a great question I'm going to answer from a wonderful YouTube subscriber that goes by Foodie Unloaded. Foodie Unloaded asked a very profound question about unlimited miles and if it makes sense and what's my rationale. So my rationale is this, I'll dive right into it, is it really depends on a few factors. I wouldn't recommend unlimited miles for everyone, and I wouldn't recommend you do this without understanding the strategy in play. Unlimited miles could be a really beneficial strategy for you because what happens is it looks good. You outcompete the other Turo hosts who have, say, leases, for example. A lease, for example, a lot of Turo hosts on the platform don't own the vehicle outright. I actually own my vehicles, and there's nothing wrong with leases at all, but I'm just saying there's a large variety of, a large number of Turo hosts that actually own that lease the vehicles and not own it. I'm one of the few hosts that actually own my vehicles, but lease is not a bad idea. It's a great strategy. It's a really great exit strategy as well, and I have videos that go on about that. But in regards to that, what you do with unlimited miles, you actually outcompete people who have leases. Leases typically, for the most part, they usually have to have a certain allotted amount of a max amount of miles they accrue per month and by the year, because they could violate their lease agreement. So very, very important to understand that. Using the unlimited mile strategy, you outcompete basically anyone who really has a lease, and you also outcompete anyone, lease or not, who has miles on their vehicle, and it allows you just to stand out. You get an extra badge. So when you look at, when a Turo guest was looking for cars, you actually get a badge and a notification that says unlimited miles, like an extra concierge service almost. So that's the next step. It actually brings your ranking up, because when people look at the car, it shows right away unlimited miles. That's my rationale. Second, the way to implement this is, if you're going to do unlimited miles, you need to calculate and do. You have to actually run a few series of tests. I would say at least if you're going to consider doing unlimited miles and you don't have the proper numbers of knowing what the average renter or Turo guest drives per vehicle, you need to actually test, I'll say at minimum 10 trips. If you do 10 trips and that's it, 10 trips, I'll try to do probably 30 or 40 trips, but let's say you don't have that much time and that takes time. 10 trips with 10 different Turo guests, give them unlimited miles, and average it out, and keep testing. Like, always stay on top of the game, stay on top of the market, and average out each guest. What you do to average out, simple math, you add it together and divide it by the trips. Then you know how many miles each car accrues per trip. Once you figure out what each mile accrues per trip, you go on Turo, the Turo website as a Turo guest, start looking for vehicles around your area and compete, and look at other Turo hosts who actually charge per mile or that only offer a certain amount of miles per day or per trip, and see if you actually are under that or over that. That's a great way to figure out if unlimited miles works for you, because maybe your territory, for example, like in my territory, for the most part, most people, you have to know your territory, most part stay in LA, but just kind of go out. They might go to San Diego, they might go to Las Vegas, maybe one state over to Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. But I already calculate that I'm okay if I implement the unlimited mile strategy. I'm okay with that, because the most they'll go is probably under 300 miles. However, so I get very close, or say you're in a location like Hawaii, for example, which I've been looking into acquiring and expanding there as well. It's such a small, beautiful island, but you can't really go that far. I mean, you're not going to drive 200 miles in circles. You're going to go places, park. So it really depends. Now, if you're in a place where maybe, say, like Texas, you might still want to consider unlimited miles, but you might want to be a little more careful because it's a really big state. There's a lot of places to go. It's a really large landscape. So you have to figure out, where does the average Turo guest go? So that's the first step. So my rationale is that unlimited miles is an excellent strategy. Helps you to stand out, because you'll get that unlimited miles badge over your car when someone's looking for your car. You'll outcompete people just on that. Second, you outcompete people who have leases and newer cars, especially if you don't have the newest cars. Especially if you have newer cars, you're really outcompeting people with leases, because now you have a newer car that competes with these new car leases. But even if you have an older car, this gives you an advantage against. So say you have 2018 and 2016 and 2015, 2014, and these people have 2022 or 2021 leases, you can outcompete. That's your rationale. You have to figure out, does it make sense for you? And the way you do it is just like as I told you, you have to conduct research and do your own market research and figure out if that works for your territory. Maybe you'll find out, hey, I was planning to only give them maybe say 300 miles per day or 400 miles per day, but guess what? If I give everyone unlimited miles, I see that on average they only drive 250 miles or 300 miles. Maybe this one guest went, say, maybe 500 miles, but the other few guests only went 50 miles in my area. That's what you have to do. So I can't tell you because I don't know your vehicle. I don't know your city, your state, your country, wherever your province, for all the YouTube viewers and for Foodie Unloaded. It was a profound question. I love the strategy as long as it makes sense. But the goal to make sure this makes sense, it's got to make sense in regards to, it got to be a beneficial amount of miles that doesn't destroy your vehicle. It has to be to the point where it makes sense, and you have to have a number. How many miles do you want? On average, people get 300, 400 miles per trip or per day. If you find out, hey, I gave people 10 trips and then 20 trips and then 30 trips, and for some reason they're under that, you got your answer. Just give them unlimited miles so you stand out. It doesn't really matter at that point. Now, if you find out it goes a little bit over, then that's where, okay, you give them unlimited miles, maybe bring the price up a little bit where it offsets that. But I think unlimited miles is a great strategy. You just have to figure out if it works for you and conduct your own research. I can't give you a one-size-fit-all. That's not what this channel is about. I have to give you evergreen worldwide perspectives. My videos are meant for the world. Turo is in 56 countries and counting at this point, and all in different provinces and states and countries, etc. So I want to do my best to actually give a fair example no matter where you're at and where you're placed. So very, very important, people. Unlimited miles can definitely be a great strategy, but like I said, you must do market research. It must be to the point where people don't drive your on average, don't drive your vehicle like thousands of miles. Then that's not a good strategy in my opinion. You're depreciating your car, and that's not good. Well, you have to really do your best to make sure that you get that the guests that you give unlimited miles to drive an average amount of miles, or if they do drive a little bit more than what you appreciate, make sure you bring up the price to make it worth it and offset it. But again, conduct your research, do at least minimum 10, I'll do 10, 20, 30, and keep on doing it. If it looks good, keep on checking the numbers, checking this. You always know where the car started off with, how many miles it had, and how many miles it had upon return, and just average it out and figure out how many miles there are. And you might find out, hey, I was planning to give them 300, 400 miles anyway. That's what's averaging out anyway. Might as well, or it might just go be a little bit higher than that, and it might be worth it just to stand out. Because you have to think of it this way: you standing out gives you more business. So that within itself, yes, you might not want to give unlimited miles, but you might not get the lion's share of business that you might want to be able to offset it anyway, so you're not making enough money. But if you actually do your best to do your absolute best to actually give unlimited miles, you'll definitely get a lot more business, and that might offset just because the lion's share of the business that's coming into you. Love you guys. Follow me on Instagram, Conrad Layn. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you for the wonderful comment from Foodie Unloaded. Just want to give you a shout out, and thank you so much. Love all y'all. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share the video, subscribe, like, and share. Currently now. Peace.